Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, NFL Sunday. Ralph Michaels is coming on to take apart that game. Marco D'Angelo, he's going to look at Ohio State, at Wisconsin. We got so much to talk about on today's show. Teddy covers, my co-host. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Teddy, let's bring Ralph Michaels in right away. And Ralph, how are you, man? What's going on?
I'm doing great, guys. I have a chart this week, and I have a rant with this chart, so make sure you tune in for that.
Well, we're already
sure. And of course, Ralph coming with the pen to start off the show. Ralph, let's start with a little college football for Saturday. And certainly, when we talk about the Virginia Cavaliers, they made some noise last week. Big-time upset over North Carolina, the biggest upset in college football last week. This week, they're taking another step up in class. They have to go to Miami, taking on the Hurricanes. Right now, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, I'm seeing Miami minus 18.5. There are even some minus 19s out there against
The Virginia Wahoos.
Yeah, thank you.
The Virginia Wahoos, yeah.
Goodness gracious. Ralph, how do we break down this matchup in college football action for Saturday?
Well, Teddy, let me first start by saying this. There's several things I've read, and oh my God, Virginia is in a letdown. So I had to go to the database to quantify that. So how do teams do as a dog of 17 points or higher that are off a win as a dog of 13 points or higher, going all the way back to 2007. So you pulled the upset as a dog of 2 touchdowns, plus 13 or more. Now you're a sizable dog again. Since 2007, those teams have been 57.7%. It's much different having a big dog off an upset win versus just having to win the game. And then when I look at this Miami side, listen, Miami's been a bad favorite historically for a long time. But when you specifically look at Cristobal as a favorite, this is Cristobal's second season here, but he is only 7-15 in his career as a head coach as a home favorite of 3 or higher. And when you look at those 22 games, he has lost 8 games outright as a favorite, despite those 22 games having an average line of 15.5. Cristobal is also 1-7 against the spread as a home favorite off a straight-up win. By the way, they've been upset 4 times as a home favorite. The Hurricanes have with Cristobal as the head coach, losing as a home favorite of 25.5 points to Middle Tennessee, 19 points favorite to Georgia Tech, 10-point favorite to Duke, and a 4-point favorite to North Carolina. And then when you look at this Virginia team, yes, they started the season 0-5. Remember, this was a team that was 3-7 last year. Tony Elliott now in his second season here. And again, 5 straight losses to start the season. But let's remember, Tony Muskett won the quarterback job in the summer. He played against Tennessee and got hurt in that game. He missed the next 3 games. What happened? He came back against Boston College. They put up 24 points and 306 yards. His second returning start against William and Mary, 453 yards. And last week against North Carolina, 31 points and 436 yards. This Virginia offense is very solid with back-to-back games of 220-plus yards rushing and 4.3 yards per carry. And I'm going to say this. While people talk about Virginia being in a letdown spot over their win last week against North Carolina, their first top 10 AP, their first win on the road against an AP top 10 team in their entire lifetime, I'm actually going to say Miami might be more of a letdown spot. Remember, they were down against Clemson. They were 0-2 in the ACC. They come back, beat Clemson, win in double overtime. So to me, we have a bad home favorite off an incredible double overtime win against a foe to keep them in the race in the ACC. I'm grabbing Virginia plus the points. And as I like doing each and every Friday here on this show, this is an actual client release.
So, Ralph, I'm looking at the money line for Virginia. DraftKings is a plus 850 right now. It's an outlier line. There are plus 750s available, 700, 650 if you don't shop around, if you want Virginia. Would you look at a money line play here? You talked about Miami losing these games straight up. You talked about the success of teams like the Cavaliers in spots like this. You talked about how Virginia's season-long power rating may not be accurate because their quarterback was hurt. Is this an overlay? Is this a money line worth taking?
Oh, absolutely, Teddy. I bet half a unit on the money line. So we're not going to get crazy with it. We're a plus higher price. The one thing you don't want to do is try to get cute with the money line when you have a dog you really like to bet a dog and then give away too big of a portion of your units by trying to get cute with the money line. So yes, it's a 3% play. I bet 3% of Virginia, and I did bet a 0.5% on the money line. There are times when it's a single-digit dog that I will bet a whole unit on the money line, but no reason to get greedy when we're going to pick up 3.5 units on a half-unit play.
Ralph Michaels joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Ralph, you've got a chart for us. I'm excited. This chart is on NFL division teams in their second meeting, and that's something that we're going to see a lot of weekly moving forward. So regale us with your world-class information.
Well, this is my mini rant for today. I think revenge is the most overused term in sports betting. Folks, listen. If you're a 20-point dog and you go on the road and you lose a team, you do not have revenge against that opponent the next time. You are supposed to lose. And this chart, to me, I think exemplifies that. And this is NFL division teams in the second meeting since 2015. And again, I say this often, I use 2015 because that's the season the extra point got moved back. So it's a nice change in the rules and a short period of time where we have enough length of 8 years to work. So the left-hand side, the first column, is what happens when the team lost the first game. You see the first line. In a division game, the team lost as a home favorite in the first game, lost as a home dog, lost as an away favorite, lost as an away dog. Take a look at the green, guys. The only situation for a second meeting in a division game that's profitable, and it's profitable to the tune of 64.7%, is if a division team lost the first game of the meeting as a home favorite. If you lost the first game as a home dog, you are only 46% in the second meeting. If you lost as an away favorite, you are only 43% in the second meeting. If you lost as an away dog, it's pretty much 50-50. You're 49.7. And then on the right-hand side, if you lost your game at home, it shows how you did as an away favorite or a pick away dog. If you lost the first game on the road, it breaks down how you lost as a home favorite or now a home picker dog. But again, revenge, guys, is such an overused term, but it is legitimate revenge when a division foe loses the first meeting as a home favorite. They're 69.2% in the second meeting as an away favorite, and they're 62.1% in the second meeting as an away dog. Now, there are 3 teams playing this week that fall into the categories, but neither are off a loss as a home favorite. The Patriots lost their first meeting as a home dog. The Commanders lost their first meeting as an away dog, and the Broncos lost their first meeting as an away dog. So no home favorites to look at for this situation this week.
Are there home favorites that you've circled already for down the road? Maybe we can put a list together of the of the divisional games where the home favorite has lost that first meeting. Ralph, you have anything for me on that?
Teddy, if only I were that smart, but I'll tell you what I will do. Right after I get off, that chart will only take me a second. If you guys have time at the end of the show, you can see those teams for the rest of the year. And I will also throw it on my Twitter at CalSportsLV so people can't see the chart that way.
Perfect. Ralph, awesome. Outstanding stuff, man. Ralph, we got one more game to talk about, and this is an interesting matchup. And, you know, Jacksonville playing Pittsburgh, and A lot of really sharp guys that I know like Pittsburgh in the spot. I'm not feeling it. I would maybe if there was a 3, but you like the total here, which is 41. Are you going over or under?
I am going to go under, but full disclosure, I have not finished my NFL card. And I'm going to think Teddy's going to say, what about the cornerback injuries? But I'm going to talk about those right now because they are significant because we don't know who's going to play. So let me start off with the negatives first. You know, the Steelers, Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson are supposed to be their starters. Well, Willie Colon, an offensive lineman, was on a show this week. You don't often hear a former player say this. They got to be better in the secondary because Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson are flat out stealing money from the Pittsburgh Steelers as bad as they're playing. So Levi Wallace is questionable. Foot injury, may not play. Patrick Peterson has not played well. Joey Porter has played well. He's missed practice this week. He vows he's going to play. That leaves Pierre as another starting cornerback. That's my concern. I need some cornerback health in the next couple days to make this under a play. But looking at the situation, this season, if you blindly played every under in the NFL, you are 61.3%. The current numbers, 41 over, 65 unders. Now, I broke down the points per game the first 7 weeks of the NFL. This year, NFL games are averaging 43.3 points per game, with an average total of 43.9. So they've been close. It's not like there's been a ton of blowout unders, which is hard to do. But people are surprised. Last year in the NFL games through the first 8 weeks only averaged 43.4 points, only 0.1 point more per game. And last year through the first 4 weeks, the over-under was 41.1%. So this has been a 3-year trend that the first 8 weeks of the season have gone under. When you look at low totals, Prez and Teddy, we talk about this a lot. NFL high totals tend to go over. NFL low totals tend to go under. Since 2018, if you bet totals under 42 in the NFL, you have hit 57.2%. Those games have gone under. Non-division games have actually gone under more than division games. They've gone under 58.5% with a total of 41.5. And when you have a non-division team as an away favorite like we do this week, it's 61.5% to the under. Steelers 1-5 over under this week. They average, they are number 28 in plays per game, one of the slowest tempo teams. When both teams are off a win as a dog, like this situation, it's been an under roll. When teams have won back-to-back games as a dog, like Pittsburgh, it's gone under 71.4%. So the question is, can Pittsburgh's defense stop Jacksonville? Well, I'm not too high on bulletin material board in the NFL. But what Trevor Lawrence talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they waved those yellow hankies around this week. It is legitimate bulletin board material for Pittsburgh. And you look at the Steelers at home, their D-line has just been dynamic getting sacks when at home with the loud crowd. So I certainly like under 41 Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. The injury report the next day and a half will let me know if it becomes an actual client release.
Ralph, look, I'm looking at that play as well, and what likely is going to keep me off of it is we saw a different strategy from Pittsburgh in the fourth quarter against the Rams last week. They went with a 4 wide, Pickens on the weak side. It opened the entire offense up. Pickett threw for, I think, 138 yards in the fourth quarter alone. Now, I'm not suggesting they're going to come out guns blazing, but that change, that tweak, really opened their offense up last week. And we know Jacksonville can score with anybody. That's my concern. Are you concerned at all with a offensive change that we've seen out of Matt Canada and the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yes and no. The no, because they only gained 300 yards last week. They had 91 in the first half, so you have to do better in the second half, gaining 219 yards,
they only
getting
opened
to those
it up
24
in the
points.
They only opened it up in the fourth.
It's a big difference, Prez, with the Pittsburgh Steelers that are 70% run with Kenny Pickett, who doesn't throw deep, and all of a sudden make halftime adjustments come out in the second half. Once it's on tape, these NFL defensive coordinators know how to change things. So the NFL is so different that you see an adjustment. Those adjustments often don't work from one week to the next because people have seen it. So is it a concern? We'll see what happens. If they prove to me they've changed the offense enough this week that they can get past the Jacksonville defense, then yes, I'll make an asterisk and look forward to it.
Great answer. Ralph, what do you have to promote?
You know what? Me, you, Teddy, Marco, any handicap at WagerTalk. I'll tell you what, we could thank Marco for this. We were doing an end of the year special, under $59 every sport through December 31st. Marco said to JD, Johnny, let's start the special early so I can mention it and bet on it. So you sign up this week, you're getting this weekend basically for free on top of that $469 end of the year special. No coupon. It's on everyone's homepage. Tell you what, whoever your favorite capper is, NHL, NBA, NFL, college basketball, college football, soccer, UFC, every sport, any capper, head to your favorite capper's homepage now.
Ralph Michaels, outstanding stuff. Teddy, I'm getting a lot of love for my follow-up question. Natural 8 writes, one of the best follow-ups I've ever heard from Prez. Russell Deck, good job, Prez. Okay, I think it's like a backhanded compliment. Like, in other words, all my other follow-ups stink, and I finally had a moment of glory. Teddy covers. Before we get into what did Bettors learn, I got some stuff to say, guys. This is a shirt you can buy on Wager Merch. It's got a picture of Carmine and Andrew. If ever you want a picture of Carmine and Andrew on your body, head over to wagermerch.com and buy this shirt. The quality is incredible, dude. I was so worried about the quality of these shirts because we're using a drop shipper. That's why we weren't going to push the site until I got the swag and actually felt the quality. I'm impressed, dude. Flat out. Can't wait to see you in a shirt one of these days. Teddy, I want to talk about the football game last night, and I'll do it right after you discuss what did Bettors learn.
Well, we're talking about it before the show. The Westgate Superbook trademark slogan, good teams win, great teams cover. Ralph was talking about earlier on the show, don't get too cute with the money line. What did we see last night in the world of pro sports? 3 favorites all winning, none of the 3 favorites covering the number. I moved out here in 1998, and the sharp guys that I learned from used to have a mantra. It was like the favorite can only cover one way, winning by margin. But the underdog can cover 2 ways. They can win outright, or they can hang tough and lose by less than the point spread margin. So sprinkle something on the money line, like Ralph was talking about, but be sure to take the points. Now, long term, against the spread, favorites and dogs going to be pretty close to 50-50. And over the course of time, you figure out that teams that win straight up cover 80% plus of the time in NBA and NFL. Not so much in the college sports where you have bigger point spreads, but in the NBA and the NFL where the point spreads tend to be 2 touchdowns or less. When the favorite wins, the team that wins covers 80% plus. So what happened last night? Well, Tampa came in through the back door, and that was a brutal drive. You had Buffalo, that drive just sucked. 2 4th down penalties, 17-play, 92-yard drive, ends up with a 4th down touchdown. But got the money. Buffalo's offense didn't move the ball in the second half, kept Tampa within range, 4 straight non-covers for the Buffalo Bills. Milwaukee Bucks, hey, they were up by 19 in the first half. Well, then again, they were down by 8 in the fourth. It was a 6-point game with just over 2 to play. Coin flip, classic NBA coin flip. Could go either way. Went Philly's way down the stretch. They hit a couple of threes in the final seconds, 30 seconds. That equals a point spread cover. Lakers certainly were on our right side against Phoenix. They struggled from the opening tip. They were down 12 going into the fourth. But they had a chance. LA hit shots down the stretch. Reeves missed 1 free throw. And that made the foul and shoot go between 5 and 3 instead of 6s and 4s. Well, LA wins by 5, not by 6. No push for Lakers backers. That's just 3 examples last night. These tend to be the exceptions rather than the rules. But remember, there are plenty of times where taking the points is good. Taking them on the money line not so good with the underdogs. Lawrence?
Teddy, great take. Listen, I want to talk about the game real quick tonight, what happened last night, and I didn't lose. I had Buffalo as the first leg of a teaser. I won that. I still have my other leg to go, but this is not sour grapes at all. I watched the game last night, start to finish, and a bunch of stuff stood out to me. Firstly, what the hell is Buffalo doing, not doing a quarterback sneak on 3rd and inches from the goal line in the second quarter? 2 terrible, terrible play calls by Ken Dorsey. Just shocking stuff. The drive that Tampa Bay had to cover was one for the ages, Teddy. I felt every Buffalo bettor just screaming at his honey. Did you see that? Another penalty on a face mask. He had him down. But without question, and that shit happens, what the hell was their coach thinking, taking a timeout before the 4th down? They had this Tampa Bay team on the ropes. Tampa Bay couldn't move the ball unless there was a flag on the field. And then they took a timeout. I turned to my friends. I'm like, it's 4th and 10. That timeout, guaranteed touchdown. And there it was, off of a shoulder, no less. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo, Teddy, but I am starting to think that there is a lot of bad coaching going on in Buffalo. That's how my take on Buffalo Bills right now. Crap coaching.
Look, Thursday Night Football is not a good product. We know that. We bet it anyway. We watch it anyway. Teams aren't ready. Week after week, screwy things happen on Thursday night. Happened last night. It's about the Thursday night game, not about the Bills coaching staff, in this bettor's opinion.
Fair enough.
It's hard to put a game plan together.
Teddy, I got to mention, I got a big night tonight for my clients. I got my first NBA play up of the season. Last year, I was 93 units up in NBA, 93 units of profit. It was my best sport across all sports by far. I had a 58% win rate, and I got a 4% play up in NBA tonight, plus another one I'm putting up after the show. I also have 2 hockey plays tonight. I'm on a 6-1 hockey run. So, guys, check me out over at WagerTalk because 7-2 all sports run. And I feel like we're going to have a big 3-4 days. Marco D'Angelo joining us. Marco! I have something to say before. Well, I'm going to say hello, and then I got something I want to tell you. Hello.
Hello. What do you want to tell?
So I put up in the chat room a few days ago, co-founder of WagerTalk, and someone's like, well, I thought Marco was the founder of WagerTalk. So I just want to tell everybody really quickly that both Marco and I are the co-founders of WagerTalk. However, for the record, I'm the official founder.
Hence the co part.
Yeah. For the record, though, I am the official founder of WagerTalk. And the reason I say this is because, Marco, I want to thank you. I decided to come back into this business and set up a company called WagerTalk way back, 7 years ago. And I literally sat around and thought, who am I going to get as my partner? I need the biggest brand in the world. I contacted Marco D'Angelo, and Marco agreed to do this. And I just want everybody to know flat out, this site does not exist without Marco D'Angelo. We literally built this site on his back. He was the biggest brand in the handicapping industry in the world. I was able to talk him into joining us. We started the site based around Marco. And still to this day, brother, #1 seller, best brand we got. Nothing has changed. So we are both the co-founders of WagerTalk. Okay, let's move on. Ohio State at Wisconsin. What do you like, brother?
All right, I don't know what to say after that introduction because I'm speechless, but thank you, Prez. And before I give you my breakdown of Ohio State and Wisconsin, I just want to add one thing to what Teddy said, which was a very good teaching moment today about the favorites and underdogs. One more thing to add to that. and it was a key to like last night. When you have the standalone games like a Thursday night football game or the late NBA game, and it's a marquee team like the Lakers, understand that there's going to be a little bit of built-in bias by the bookmakers pumping the line on the favorite just a little bit because they know which way the market's going to go for the most part with the casual bettor. So added value to the dogs. Now moving on to this game here with Ohio State and Wisconsin. My handicap is simple on this one. It's going to start and end with I'm fading Ohio State in this game. They're coming off a monster game last week. Ohio State, Penn State, all of the hype leading up to that game. You had two teams ranked high in the polls, both undefeated. The winner was going to control their own destiny into the national championship. And the game pretty much, lived up to it. Not an exciting game up and down the field, but this game went to the fourth quarter where anybody could have won the game. Ohio State ended up pulling it out. Now, what I'm going to say about it is that when you have a game that big and now you got kids that are, in their early 20s, that's a lot of pressure off of a game like that. And to come right back the next week and be totally focused. And you're going to say, but they are so much better than Wisconsin. Well, we've already had a case study. And I know everybody's going to say, small sample size. Well, you know what? It is a small sample size. But I know a guy that we used to go to there was a thing, the Tuesday meetings here in Vegas. And there was a guy that always said when he found something, and the guy, and I'll give him a shout out, Sean Hess, when he found something that was working that year, he stayed with it until it lost. And we have the case study of Oregon and Washington. There was just as much hype leading into that ball game, and it lived up to it. It was a good game, back and forth, decided in the final minute of the game. And what happened the next week? Both Oregon and Washington failed to cover the spread. I'm taking Wisconsin. This is a Saturday night game at Wisconsin. You don't have a lot of those. They're a double-digit home underdog. They're getting 14.5 in this one. They can run the football. Now, I know how good Ohio State's defense is, but if you watched that game last week, it was a physical game. I just don't see them being as tough defensively this week after last week's game and to do it on the road. I think Wisconsin stays in this game right to the end. I'm not going to call for the upset, so I'm not going to go out there and sprinkle on the big money line, but I am grabbing all the 14.5 that I can get. I have it 24-20, Ohio State escaping with the victory.
So I'm a Luke Fickell fan, and I think that Wisconsin will be in good shape at some point. But I watched this team this year. They're not. Is there anything that you like about Wisconsin, or is this just an anti-Ohio State bet? Because I got a lot of concerns about Wisconsin's talent level this year on both sides of the football. When you're trailing Illinois by 18 points after a week after you score 6 against Iowa. It's not an offense that's clicking. It's not a defense that I trust to get stops against elite opponents. How much do you trust the Badgers?
This is a case that maybe I trust the Badgers 45% and I don't trust Ohio State 55%.
Yeah.
And like I said, go look at Washington. The team they played last week has been horrible this year, okay? And what did Washington do? They had their season low points. This is a team that has been scoring points all over the place, with Michael Penix Jr.
Well, I can tell you why.
15 points.
I can tell you why that was. I bet them. Marco, Clemson, NC State. We're going to probably not do a follow-up here as we got to keep the show moving. Our producer has a hard out. So give us the goods, brother. How do we bet this game? And then Teddy will close this segment out.
All right, guys, I'll keep it short. And this is another anti-play. This anti-play is against Clemson. And this is the spot. If you go to Clemson, you've got a goal every year. You figure at least you're going to be playing for the ACC championship game, and you're going to be in a conversation for the national championship. Well, when you suffered your third loss, and we're not even in the end of October yet, all of that is out the window. I cannot trust this Clemson team, and they're coming off an overtime loss. I never like taking a team off an overtime loss if they're a favorite the following week, especially a favorite on the road. And whenever it's on the road and off a loss like that, and in Dream Crusher, what's this team got to play for? No, I'm not doing it. NC State's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They're coming off an ugly game. I know that, their last game, but we always say, if you're going into a bye on a bad note, you're going to use that time to your advantage. Be focused. I look for a good effort out of NC State. Another live home dog against a maybe disinterested favorite, laying points on the road. Give me NC State. And this one, I'm actually calling for the outright upset. I got NC State winning 27-24.
The Wolfpack over the Tigers, say Marco D'Angelo. Marco, as the co-founder, we're talking, by the way, I've never seen you look so proud. When you blushed as much as I've ever seen you blush when Prez was blowing smoke up your ass earlier. Talk about what you have going at WagerTalk.
He was mad at me last week, Teddy.
No problem, guys. We've got a baseball play tonight. It's game 1 of the World Series. Guys, full disclosure, I started the first round and a half of the playoffs. I sucked. But since then, we have been on a roll. We got in our rhythm. We've hit 6 of our last 7 baseball plays. Got a best bet on game 1 tonight. Head over to WagerTalk. You can pick up that game by itself. Or as Ralph said earlier, hey, grab the rest of the season, the calendar year, 2023, all plays. That's the way to go. Pick your favorite capper. $4.69. It's one hell of a deal when you're getting an extra week because it wasn't supposed to start till November 1st.
Teddy covers Marco D'Angelo. Teddy, I feel terrible now. I got to blow smoke up your ass. Okay, ready?
Nothing.
It's time for your big game breakdown.
Let's do it. Big game breakdown. Friday night NBA. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Sacramento -2.5. There are 3s popping up against the Golden State Warriors. This is a late ESPN game this evening. And, of course, Sacramento in playoff revenge after taking a 2-0 series lead against Golden State last year and then losing 4 of the last 5, including Game 7 at home by 20 points. So it's playoff revenge for the Kings. Sacramento 1-0 on the season. Golden State 0-1. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is this something we're going to expect from the Warriors? The Warriors are a team we want to back off of a loss. You start looking at some of the Steve Kerr quotes, maybe not so much. Steve Kerr, well, this is just the first glimpse of the regular season. It usually takes 20 or 25 games to really know your team and feel the actions you need, the combinations that you have. You know, Draymond Green, who in my mind, from a point spread perspective, is the most important player on the Golden State Warriors. Green didn't play game 1. He's not playing tonight. The coach is not showing urgency. They're hitting the highway where they struggled all last year. Their opponents in playoff revenge. And Sacramento, if there's one team I was impressed by on Wednesday night, it was Sacramento. They came out focused, never lost focused, dominated the game, hit shots, the ball movement was there, the defensive effort was there. Mike Brown started them 11-3 ATS to open the season last year. It was a wire-to-wire job on Wednesday night. They're focused and motivated tonight, and the price is cheap. Line's moving as we speak. 2.5s are moving to 3. Grab a 2.5 right now with the Sacramento Kings. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. I will say this in all seriousness, and this is not a joke. If I were to buy anybody's NBA package for the season, including mine, and I kicked your ass last year, I'd buy yours. Well, I
kicked my ass. You beat me. You didn't kick my ass.
But I would buy yours over mine. If I was to buy any season in NBA, you are, I mean, freaking decades of winning in NBA. It's unbelievably consistent. If he tells you to bet Sacramento, and it will be 3 within the next half hour. Art DiCesare, you think Sacramento will be 3 soon?
Yeah, you know, these NBA markets are very volatile. Look at a lot of the totals today. Suns under, Memphis under, OKC over. 2-3 points they moved. The totals move crazy. I know Teddy's talking about a side, but yeah, once the NBA markets start to move, if you miss it, you really miss it.
Yes, sir. Teddy, get some actionable info out of this man.
So, Arthur DiCesare from the Westgate Superbook right here in Las Vegas. How was your week last week? Looked like a pretty good week for the sports books when it came to both NFL and college. You guys clean up a little bit?
We did. We had a nice weekend. We've been on a nice little roll. Even last night, we avoided kind of, it was a small winner because Tampa Bay came all the way back and ended up covering that game. Obviously, a lot of teasers and money lines with Buffalo are still alive rolling into the weekend, but Tampa coming back and getting that late cover was good too.
We haven't talked much World Series on today's show, and I want to start right there. Game 1 tonight, the World Series that nobody expected, not even the networks. And by the way, everyone, all these, everything's fixed. What have we seen for the NBA? Denver, Miami. What have we seen for baseball? Texas, Arizona. These are not the marquee matchups that the leagues would script if they could script this stuff. What are you seeing for action with the Rangers and the D-backs? Two-way action for the series, Game 1 action. Talk to me about World Series. And in terms of future book liability, do you have any?
We do. We'll just start there. Texas is not good for us. Arizona's actually a small winner, which is kind of shocking because how long their odds could have been at one point, but not a lot of people got in on Arizona. Texas, despite that collapse at the end of the year, was basically in first all season. So, and there was some love for them in the offseason with all the money they spent and Bruce Bochy being the manager. But for us, it feels like a lot of people think it's a toss-up series. So we've seen a lot more money come in for the series price on the dog. We've now moved down. We're a little bit higher than market, maybe 5 to 10 cents, because obviously trying to sell a little bit back because we lose on Texas. And now we're pretty much at market. And the one thing you've seen, too, is the big thing for the exact series. If there's one that's taken a lot of action, it's Texas in 5 at plus 5.25. So you've seen love there. And then you've seen a lot of love on MVPs like Corbin Carroll and, Garcia and those type of guys. A lot of the favorites. Really no long shots stick out as far as the MVP go. And as far as Game 1 goes, pretty much split action. I know the lines come down a little bit. So there's been a little bit of Arizona money, but it's been pretty good two-way.
Art DiCesare joining us. Art, we have a new website. This is a jersey you can get on it. Which way?
Oh, I love that.
I'm going to bring 0 pucks given. You want that jersey?
I love that. Yes.
Okay. Can you please go to wagermerch.com, take a look at what you like, and I will bring it down. I'm coming down December 4th. Wager Talk will take care of you, whatever you want. Now, full disclosure. We have the slogan, good teams win, great teams cover. We are getting rid of it today. I did not realize it was trademarked by the Westgate. I would like to apologize. That slogan will no longer be up on the website. So if you guys want that slogan, you got to go to the Westgate and get it. So my apologies on that, Art. I did not realize that slogan was trademarked by your employer. So please accept my apologies. Go take a look at the site, though, dude. There's some great slogans up there that you might be interested in. Okay, NFL, bro. Give us the goods. Any big bets that you've seen? Any trusted bettors that we want to follow? Teddy, you miserable again? You're doing your shake?
I don't like that question. This is the question I want to ask Art for the NFL.
Go ahead.
Because the question is not what are the big bets. Nobody gives a crap what the big bets are, including the guys who make the big bets because they have money to burn. What games are on all the parlay cards this week? What games are the sharp hammering early in the week? That's what we want. That's our sharp square divide. And that's the info that Art DiCesare can give us.
All right, the two public teams this week seem to be Minnesota and Atlanta. That's the public that I'm seeing. Sharp plays are interesting. Sharp's kind of a little all over the place. We've seen some sharp money come in on Denver. That was 8, 7.5, now 7 even money. Eagles opened 6. It's now 7, so that's moved to the key number of 7. The one that you're talking about as far as parlay cards go, I think for us, the biggest need for us is going to be Seattle. Seattle at home against, obviously, no Watson and the Browns. PJ Walker just has not been it. And Seattle's been pretty good. Seattle's a little underrated at 4-2. And, yeah, they're going to be right now, speaking to you Friday morning, Friday afternoon, our biggest need, no doubt about it.
Teddy, before you start, we got to mention we have 5 minutes left in this show, and we are short 45 likes for the daily presidential address. So, guys, take 1 second and hit that like button, please, 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 please. And I'm getting a lot of slack, Art, for incriminating Wager Talk in the trademark situation. Okay, sorry, Teddy.
Hold on, Prez. First of all, Wager Talk at Westgate, we're like a family. Like, we're connected.
Yeah.
Like,
so can you get us permission to sell that slogan?
Well, no, I can't do that. You know that. But, I mean,
but they're not going to sue us for having it up for the day.
Yeah. That's above my head. There's no bad blood. You know that. Wager Talk at Westgate.
Of course, bro.
Come on, please. You know that.
So we have just limited time left with Art DiCesare at ArtDice21 on Twitter. He's an excellent follow from the Westgate Superbook at Superbook Las Vegas. Another excellent follow. Art, I want to ask you the same question, but for college football this week. What games are on all the parlay cards? Who do the Joes seem to love? And who do the pros pop earlier in the week where the sharp money was really involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Just start with the public. Public took Purdue early in the week, but the number actually, was a good number that they took because they took 3 and now it's 2. They took UNLV early in the week at 7.5. That's gone against them. They can now get 8.5. And they took a little bit of under money on the Miami-Virginia game, under 47. That's actually popped up 0.5 point to 47.5. So a couple have gone against the public, which normally happens, but they were on the right side of one. Sharps took Kentucky early in the week. They took +4. They still were taking +3.5. We got to 3 for a second, then popped back up to 3.5. So that game settled back to 3.5 against Tennessee. They took Utah +7 against Oregon. That's now 6.5. And then they laid the big number with Notre Dame, -18 against Pitt, all the way up to 20.5 now. So a lot of love for the Sharps early in the week on the Irish.
Eddie, can I jump in quick?
The public's on Purdue and UNLV and some random under? Those are public plays?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Art DiCesare says it. We believe it.
Art, I got to ask you this question because this is a question a lot of people ask me on a regular basis, and you're perfect to answer. Austin Snow writes, when you guys talk about sharps moving the line, are they 6-figure bets or is it a small bet? Is it the person or the bet? I know the answer to this, Teddy, but Art can discuss, is it the person or the bet that is moving the line?
It is always the person.
Right.
It's just always the person. And you got to look at it too. Obviously, Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, we'll call it, NFL comes out for the next week. So you see a lot of stuff come in. By Monday morning, our college is out. Probably by Sunday night, our college is out. And then early Monday morning, we have, 3 or 4 or 5 sharp guys who come in and they bet those lines and they start moving the market. And, we're talking those are nickel and dime bets. Nothing crazy. I mean, which is still, a nice size bet, but those guys aren't firing 50 grand at, 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. So it's always the person, and it's always the person in the particular sport that we trust, whose information is good and that will move the market, and then eventually who we want to book to their side.
Teddy?
Arthur DiCesare, sharing the goods. What's going on behind the counter at the Westgate Superbook? Art, what do you have to promote, my friend? What's going on this week and moving forward over at the Westgate?
Yeah, a lot going on at the Westgate. Obviously, all the good stuff, all the sports, everything going on. And, just come down, guys. Listen, it's a busy time of the year with a lot going on. A lot of new bettors still getting into the space. And if anyone ever has questions or, we get it all the time. Hey, I'm new to this. What can I do? How do I do this, that, and the other? You come down, you ask anyone on our front line, supervisors, tellers, they'll help out. If you want to talk to me because you see me on Wager Talk and I get it all the time, ask for me. If I'm not that busy, I will pop out and I will say hi, and I'll always give you a couple of minutes.
Outstanding job. Check him out on Twitter, everyone, at ArtDice21. Art, go to Wager Merch. Put down what you want. I need to order it in the next few days. So please.
I'm texting you today.
Yeah, head over and take a look. WagerMerch.com. Also, feel free to put a huge sign saying WagerMerch.com above the Westgate scoreboard, please. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, that's it for Teddy and Art. It's time for the daily presidential address. Okay, guys, I got a few NHL bets to give out on the show. Just want to make mention real quick. I got a big card tonight. I got 2 4% plays, one in the NHL and one in the NBA. I have 4 plays altogether, 2 NBA, 2 NHL. It's a big card. You can get them all over at WagerTalk. I'm on a 6-1 run in NHL, and my NBA last year was 93 units of profit. And this is my first NBA card. So tonight, let's go. Guys, I like Washington. I think Washington's a bad team in general, but this is a good spot. They're playing Minnesota. The Wild minus 126 take the Washington Capitals. I also like the New Jersey Devils and Buffalo to go over the total. I do prefer 6.5. There are a few out there, but mostly 7s. Either way, I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. And are you ready for this? I like the Carolina Panthers minus 3.5 plus 280. I think we're going to see a 5-1, 6-1 hockey game to boot. So that's it for the daily presidential address. The NFL presidential address is up now, both my 4 favorite sides and my 4 favorite totals. So check that out. Teddy, it was a fun week, bro. Take us home.
A good time was had by all. That's going to wrap it for the week here on Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again next week, each and every weekday, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east, your Sports Central for gamblers. Between now and Monday's show, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.